Hello and welcome to How to Create an ALEX Map. My name is Joan Sutherland and I'm going to take you through some of the top tips I believe you need to create an ALEX Map and then the key stages that you'll progress through in order to create one. So let's get started. Firstly, it's not a linear process and that's okay. There are many ways this can be created. An ALEX Map, this is just one of them. This is my experience that has been iterated with many colleagues over many years. So I'm going to share this with you, and I encourage you, to think about your own context as we go through it. Make it work for you. Now, every designer is different, and that's what's great about designing. How you achieve the end outcome varies. So I encourage you to use this process or adapt it. Adapt it for your context and share it with your peers. Work through it, and if it doesn't work for your context, then iterate it. Make it your own. Avoid any bias by having a critical friend. Now, we all have bias, and that's okay as well. I'll be sharing more on this in one of my later posts, but first and foremost, it's important that you don't do ALEX design in isolation. If you don't have a learner experience designer that you can bounce ideas off, that's fine. You need a critical friend though. That friend that will tell you when you may be wrong, be able to brainstorm ideas with you, challenge your assumptions, and challenge any biases that you may have as well. This is a crucial step in order to create any learner experience map. Challenge your assumptions. Now, everyone is influenced because of psychological bias. And in my next post, I'll delve into that further. But it's important to acknowledge that everyone is biased in order to challenge your own assumptions. So, now let's have a look at how to create an ALEX map. Firstly, what is a learner journey? Too often we design in isolation in relation to courses and not enough in teaching teams. So it's important to consider where your course sits in the whole learner journey, okay? How have they come to be at your course they are doing today? And what is the learner experience before this course, during this course, and after this course? Now, it's not limited to the course itself. It includes administration, methods of communication. How are they aware of what's actually happening? And is there a consistent approach if they're doing more than one course and there's more than one educator? Evaluate previous iterations. So if this has been facilitated before, regardless if it's been face-to-face, blended or wholly online, and it's transitioning online, there is so much to learn. So it's important to identify what worked, what didn't, and where there are opportunities to improve. So there are many different evaluation models, and if you're not familiar with them, I recommend just starting off with a simple SWOT analysis with a critical friend. So look at what the strengths of it were, what were the weaknesses, what were the opportunities, and what were the threats. Now, this will be crucial in your design phase because towards the end, you'll make sure that you address the strengths. You kept the strengths because that's what worked. Any weaknesses, you improved upon it. What opportunities did you identify that you thought, hang on, that would be good to do if I did this again, I would like to do X, Y, and Z. Did you actually embed that in your design? Next, getting to know your learner. So I often hear, I don't know my learner. I don't know who's going to take this course, and that's okay. Whilst you may not have the intricate details of the learners, you should be able to provide some insights into whom you may be teaching, okay? So insights, how your learner may behave, will be invaluable in the design process, okay? It will also serve as a reference point when you come back throughout the design process, but also when you review your learner experience map to make sure you're addressing the needs of the learner, any constraints, any challenges, any motivations, and embedding that through your design. Define the learning outcomes. So there's a lovely quote by Yogi Berra who, if you don't know where you are, where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And this is true for learner experiences or learning design. You need to define the learning outcomes. It's important to design for it so the experience is aligned and learners get to an end destination. They know what they're doing and why. Okay, to define these, you simply ask yourself, at the end of the course, the learner will be able to do what? Now, if you're not familiar with learning outcomes, I will be sharing a post on learning outcomes as well, but familiarise yourself with Bloom's taxonomy. That's a great start. Next, we have develop use cases. Now, you need use cases from an educator perspective and a learner perspective. Now, you think, why do I need use cases? These will be so useful when you're actually grouping pedagogical considerations, what you're actually teaching and why, and also the technology that you actually use to support these pedagogical considerations. So you can evaluate it against the use cases, and that makes sure, making sure that you're selecting software that's fit for purpose. Outline key concepts. So ask yourself, what does a learner need to know in order to achieve the outcomes? Then you can group these topics into weeks, themes, or sequence them as a narrative. How will the learner progress through them? Now, it's important that these concepts are out there. You can brain dump them, that's okay, but align the content to the learning outcomes. And if it doesn't align, ask yourself, why am I adding this here? Often we add this and I go, I want this story and I think she needs to know this concept and they need to know this concept and they need to know that concept. When you go back to the learning outcomes, some of it may not align. Just pop it to the side. Then review the key concepts and identify what, if any, support resources may be required for the learner. Now, this is a big part of learner experience, is the interaction. So where is the interaction? So we often think about just the activities and the assessment, but it's important to look at the different types and different levels of interaction. So peer-to-peer, also peer-to-educators, support educators, and the vice versa, okay? Who else is in that community and what types of interactions are going to occur? So when you're actually creating your map, you can, alongside each of the key concepts, consider what activities a learner can do. How are you building connection? How are you building participation? What can the learner do to demonstrate their understanding of a topic and theme? And what will the learner do to check their understanding of key concepts? So where's that interaction with the expert or with the educator or with someone? Where are they getting that feedback? It's important that the feedback is iterative throughout and the learner is exposed throughout the experience so they can identify where they are at any given point and choose to do extra support resources or extend themselves also. So for different types of interaction, there is Laura Lard's activity types that you may want to use as a guideline to map out different types of interaction that you may wish to embed in your learner experience. Next, you've built out a lot of different things within the experience. So next it's time to review the ALEX map. And this again is where your critical friend comes in. So as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, it's so important to have that critical friend here, the one that will provide that constructive feedback, challenge your ideas, why you're actually adding things in there, generate robust discussion and come up with the best possible ideas for the learner experience. You'll revisit your learner personas here and ask, does this meet the needs of the learners? Okay, are you addressing any challenges that they may have had? You'll review the sequencing and activities and cross-reference with the learning outcomes. And remember, if it doesn't align, why is it there? So refer back to the evaluation that you'd done in one of the earlier steps and ask yourself, did you keep what worked? Did you look at what didn't work and make appropriate changes? And were you able to implement any changes that you evaluated as opportunities for improvement? So this is where you will review that and make sure all the work that you've done in the earlier stages has been addressed. Evaluate the tech is another stage that you need to go through. So this is where your use cases come in, and I touched on it before. So there's going to be in any organisation technology that's available to you, or if you're starting out and you don't have any technology, you need to know what technology to actually look for. So it's important to refer to your use cases and ensure that when you're searching for technology that it's fit for purpose, okay? Next, once you've done all these key stages, it will be development time. So project planning, identify all the resources that you have, all the resources that you need, and create and develop a project plan to get started. Then it's development time. So to summarize, firstly, this is going to be one of 9 posts where I'm going to walk through each of the steps in more detail. Before the next post, I encourage you to think of your own context and work alongside to create your own learner experience map. Also, if you want to check any of these posts, please go to my designforalex.com/blog or via Instagram and Twitter as well with the handle @designforalex. Look forward to seeing you soon.